was Holly's 4th grade year, and when the first day of school came up, I hear a knock on the door. I was a bit confused because the special education bus was on the street curb. And I asked the bus driver, well, what are you doing here? And she said, well, Holly's in the multiple handicap program. All kids with this level of IEP will access our transportation. And I looked at that short bus, I call it the short bus, and I was confused because Holly doesn't need the short bus. Holly's been riding the bus with her brother and sister her entire life. And I have learned through the courageousness and the cultivation by so many of my friends that the key to this is looking at the abilities. And Holly is able to walk. And Holly is able to hold hands with her brother and sister and get on and off that bus. So I started a journey of about 18 months working with the system to try to create a new program that would allow Holly to focus on her abilities and not have to live, not that the short bus is a bad thing because she now rides the short bus, but at that time it was okay for her to ride with her brother and sister. I know that there was some nervousness. Holly has excessive seizures at that time, and there was a lot of discussion with risk management and all of those kinds of things. So what we came up with after working with the principal and the teachers was I created what I called the Holly Bus Buddy program. And I created a flyer that did a little explanation of Holly and had her picture on there and a perforation piece on the bottom. And the school principal on a Tuesday afternoon went onto the bus and told all the kids that we were going to try to get Holly to get on the bus. And if they wanted to be a bus buddy, which means they would help her with her backpack, or they could sit with her if her brother and sister didn't want to, that they could be Holly's bus buddy. And if they're interested, then they need to go home and talk to their parents and take that perforated piece and then take that piece of paper to the office and put it in the envelope. And hopefully they would do that by Friday afternoon, give them a few days. So I was so pleased to know that the principal believed in the idea enough that she was the one delivering the message. It was that school-centered support, that piece that we often talk about, that it can't be top-heavy, it has to be bottom-supported. So the next day I get a call from the folks at the school, and they said, Eileen, you won't believe this. The envelope is overflowing. Every kid on that bus wanted to be Holly's bus buddy. That, my friends, is the power of early intervention. That is it. Because they didn't see Holly in her helmet. They say Holly as a little girl who wanted to ride the bus with everybody else. And they saw Holly as a girl who can walk, and she can get off when they open the doors. And when risk management said, well, what are we going to do if the bus has a problem and we have to pull over and we go in a ditch or whatever? So, well, what are you going to do with all the other kids? What about the 4-year-olds who don't understand what to do? You just treat Holly the same way you would anyone else who has an intellectual process. It was a courageous moment for that principal to do that with me. It was a courageous moment for risk management to open their doors and open their eyes and say, it's time we start changing things. Just because she's labeled as multiply handicapped doesn't mean she needs to live in a place of isolation on that bus. How else are the kids in the neighborhood going to know what house is hers? I mean, we live in Highlands Ranch. Every house looks the same. She has to be able to get off that bus and walk to her house. Sorry for those of you in Douglas County.